The road behind me disappeared as I drove. The GPS showed only a blank screen. Then a message popped up, "Turn back now." But there was nowhere to turn. My gas gauge dropped to empty, and the trees on both sides started moving. That's when I saw the first one, a figure standing in the middle of the road, grinning, waiting. I just wanted to be alone. Everything in my life had turned to crap. My wife left me for a guy she met in her church group. My boss put me on performance review, which is just a slow march to being fired. And on top of that, I got hit with 2 credit card lawsuits in 1 week. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't think. I was drowning. So when my uncle called and offered me a place to get away, I didn't even ask questions. I said yes. He had a cabin in the mountains near Morganton, Georgia. I remembered it from when I was a kid. No neighbors. No internet. Just a wood stove, canned food, and trees as far as you could see. I packed a duffel bag, filled the tank, and left Atlanta on a Friday afternoon. The first 2 hours of the drive were normal. Highway, small towns, gas stations. But once I passed Blue Ridge and started climbing up the back roads, things started to feel off. The GPS screen froze. I tapped it, cursed at it. Nothing. Then it flashed once and went black. A second later, a white message popped up, "Turn back now." That's it. No map. No directions. No signal. Just those 3 words in blocky white letters. I laughed at first. Thought maybe the GPS bugged out or picked up some weird signal. But the road was too narrow to turn around, and there were no side streets. Just thick trees and drop-offs. That's when I looked in the rearview mirror. I stopped laughing. The road behind me wasn't there. It wasn't just blurry or dark. It was gone. Where I'd just come from was now overgrown woods. No pavement. No gravel. Like the road had never existed. I slowed down. My stomach started to turn. Then I looked at my gas gauge. Empty. I had filled the tank back in LJ. Full tank. No leaks. I'd barely driven 30 miles since then. There was no reason it should be empty. The car jerked like it was struggling. I pressed the gas harder, and it crawled forward. I looked out the window, and that's when I saw the trees. They were moving. Not swaying. Moving. They shifted in place, like something behind them was pushing. Some leaned closer to the road. Some twisted, like they were stretching. It didn't feel natural. It felt like they were watching me. I started to panic. I slammed my foot on the pedal, and the car jumped. I shot forward down the narrow road, hoping something, anything, would come into view. A sign. A mailbox. Another car. Nothing. Then I saw him. Middle of the road. Maybe 30 feet ahead. At first, I thought it was a hitchhiker. Or someone who broke down. But then I noticed his feet. Bare. Dirty. His jeans were soaked, like he'd been walking through water. His chest was bare, pale as bone. And his face. He was grinning. Wide. Like his mouth had been stretched too far. Lips cracked. Teeth too perfect. He didn't move. I honked the horn. He didn't flinch. I inched forward. Nothing. I shouted out the window. "Hey! You okay?" Still nothing. I kept the car moving. 5 feet. 10 feet. I was about to go around him when he turned his head, slow as hell, and locked eyes with me. That grin never left his face. I stopped. His eyes were black. Not dark. Black. No whites. No pupils. Just 2 holes. He took 1 step forward. I threw the car in reverse. It stalled. Dashboard lights flickered. Then the engine died. And in that dead silence, my phone buzzed. I looked down. 1 message. You weren't supposed to leave. I sat there, frozen, watching him walk toward me. Slow. 1 step at a time. I don't know how he moved like that. It was wrong. He didn't sway. Didn't blink. Just 1 foot in front of the other, his arms hanging loose, his grin wide as hell. I tried the key. Nothing. Phone, no bars. No signal. No apps loading. Just that message still on the screen. He was getting closer. I reached across the seat, grabbed the tire iron I'd tossed in the back earlier. My hands were shaking. I don't even know what I thought I was going to do. Then I looked up. There was another one. Behind him. And another. And another. They all looked the same. Bare feet. Dirty jeans. Grins that never moved. The road ahead, filled with them now. I was surrounded. I couldn't breathe. They just stood there, covering the road in front of me like a line of mannequins. All of them with those wide, frozen grins. Eyes like they were drilled straight into their skulls. They weren't talking. They weren't blinking. They weren't doing anything but staring at me. I didn't know if I should stay in the car or run. Then I remembered something. The tire iron. I grabbed it tight, pushed the car door open as quiet as I could, and stepped out. My knees felt weak. Every bone in my body was telling me not to move. That if I stepped 1 foot away from the car, they'd come for me. But I didn't have a choice. I turned to look behind me, thinking maybe I could run back the way I came, even if the road had vanished. But now the woods behind me, yeah, they were alive. Trees weren't trees anymore. Not really. They were shifting, almost pulsing. I could see shadows between the trunks, slipping in and out of view. Something was in there. Not animals. Not people. Something else. And then I heard it. A voice. But it wasn't coming from in front of me or behind me. It came from inside the car. I whipped around, looked through the driver's side window. Someone was sitting in the passenger seat. I swear to God, someone was sitting there, clear as day. A girl, maybe 13, 14. Hair wet and sticking to her face. Pale, like the others, but her eyes weren't black. They were bright blue. She looked terrified. I opened the door, stepped back inside. "Who the hell are you?" I asked. She didn't answer. She just looked straight at me and said, "They'll take your face if you run." I froze. What? She looked straight ahead. "You left. You weren't supposed to leave. They remember that. They always remember." I stared at her, trying to piece it together. "Leave what?" She looked at me, dead serious. "The fire. You started it." My heart stopped. "What fire?" "You burned the woods when you were a kid. You and your uncle. You said no one would notice." That hit me like a gut punch. I hadn't thought about that night in years. I was 11. My uncle had taken me to the cabin that summer. We found a pile of dead branches and old furniture near the edge of the woods. He had too much to drink. Thought it'd be funny to burn it. I lit the match. He poured the gas. Whole patch of forest went up like paper. We ran. Never told anyone. They said later it was lightning. Whole section of forest gone. A few people went missing, too. But the town didn't push it. No one ever knew. Except someone did. They were in the woods, the girl said, as if reading my thoughts. They were watching. They took the ones who stayed behind. Now they want you. I felt sick. I didn't mean to, they don't care. She turned to look at me. They just want you to pay. I looked back at the road. The pale people were still there, but now, they were moving again. Slow. Deliberate. Closing in. From both sides. I turned to ask the girl what to do, but she was gone. Vanished. Like she'd never been there. The car still wouldn't start. I tried the key again, dead. Then I heard them. Footsteps. Dozens of bare feet slapping against the pavement. I gripped the tire iron and got out. If they were gonna come for me, I wasn't gonna go down easy. But just as I stepped into the middle of the road, something cracked above me. The sky. It cracked open. Like glass. And behind it was something I can't even describe. A shape. Massive. Watching. And I finally understood something. I wasn't on Earth anymore. Or if I was, it wasn't the part one left. I didn't move. I couldn't. That thing in the sky, if you could even call it a sky, wasn't something I could wrap my head around. It wasn't a sun, or a cloud, or anything we've got a word for. It was like a giant eye made of smoke and broken glass, staring down through a rip in the world itself. And it was looking straight at me. The pale figures stopped. All of them. Like statues, frozen mid-step. Some had their heads tilted up toward the sky. Others were still facing me, but none of them moved anymore. Like they were waiting. The air around me shifted. Got heavier. It felt like I was underwater. Every breath burned. Then something behind me spoke. A different voice this time. Not the girl's. Not like anything human. Low. Slow. Like someone talking through a mouth full of wet gravel. You were never meant to survive that fire. I turned, slowly. He was there. My uncle. Standing on the side of the road. But it wasn't him, not really. He looked older. Burned. His skin was black in patches, melted in others. His eyes were gone. Just empty sockets. And yet, he smiled. You lit it, but I left you there, he said, as calmly as if we were sitting on the porch with a beer. I ran. You screamed. I didn't turn back. You were supposed to burn too. My head was spinning. What the hell are you talking about? I made it back with you. You told me it was lightning. He laughed. A dry, awful sound. You never came back, boy. I shook my head, stepping backward. That's not true. We made it back. I remember. We watched the fire from the porch. No, he said, taking one step closer. You think you remember. But memory's just a story you keep telling yourself. Over and over. Until it sounds right. The trees around us shuddered again. The sky cracked wider. The giant shape behind it blinked. Once. I left you there, he repeated. They took you. And now they've let you wake up. Just to punish you again. No, I backed up until I hit the hood of the car. My breath caught in my throat. I'm alive. I left that place. I grew up. I got married. I have a job, he laughed harder. Louder. The pale people joined in. Their mouths opened wide, too wide, and they all started laughing with him, mouths stretching until they looked like gashes across their faces. That life you remember, he said. It's not yours. It's what they gave you. A loop. A lie. You've been here the whole time. My knees gave out. I dropped to the pavement, the tire iron slipping from my hands. "You were always here," he whispered. "You just forgot." And then I remembered something. The girl. Her eyes. Bright blue. Just like my sister's. Only, my sister died in the fire. She'd followed us to the woods. I hadn't seen her behind us until it was too late. She screamed once, just once, and then the flames were everywhere. I hadn't remembered that until now. It hit me all at once, like something snapping into place. They weren't just haunting me. They were me. All of them. Every pale figure on the road. They were versions of me. Twisted. Burned. Left behind. Lost. And I was the last one. The only one who still thought I had escaped. I got to my feet. The sky tore open a little more. I picked up the tire iron, even though I knew it wouldn't do anything. Then, from behind me, I heard tires. A car. I spun around. Headlights. A real car. Engine humming. It pulled up next to me and stopped. The driver rolled down the window. It was me. Older. Cleaner. Eyes clear. No fear on his face. "You coming?" he asked, like we were late for dinner. I stepped back. "What the hell is this?" He nodded toward the passenger seat. "It's your turn." I looked again. That same girl was in the passenger seat, but this time, she smiled. Not a grin. A real smile. My chest tightened. What happens if I get in? The other me didn't answer. I looked behind me. The pale figures were getting closer again. And that sky was almost gone now. Only one way left to go. After they fired me, I stopped going out much. I had a little money saved, so I just stayed in the house. Closed all the curtains. Turned off my phone. Didn't talk to anyone. Not that many people called me anyway. The eyes stayed open more now. During the day. In the shower. While I was cooking. Watching. It wouldn't talk every time. But when it did, the words got darker. They lied to you. You never mattered to them. You were always alone. It started using voices I recognized. My ex-wife's voice. My father's. Even Charlie's. Like it was trying to wear their skin, so the words would hurt more. And it worked. I started thinking about Maggie a lot. About the way she left. How fast she moved on. I looked her up on Facebook one night. She had a new guy. Some teacher. Clean face, real smile. He had his arms around her in every photo. I watched those pictures for hours. Then the eye whispered, "I can show you what he really is." I didn't want to go. I swear I didn't. But the next day, I was driving through her neighborhood. Not fast. Just creeping down the street in my truck, windows up, hoodie on. I parked across from her house. Lights were on. A shadow moved past the living room window. And then something insane happened. The eye closed. I didn't do anything. It just shut itself, like it didn't want to look. That scared me worse than anything so far. It had watched monsters in the corners of my room. It had stared down things outside the window. But now, sitting outside my ex-wife's house, it refused to see. That's when I realized, it was afraid. I got out of the truck. I didn't have a plan. I just walked up to the house and rang the bell. My heart pounded so hard I thought I might pass out. After a few seconds, Maggie answered. She froze when she saw me. "Jason," she said, like she wasn't sure if it was really me. I nodded. "Can we talk?" She stepped outside, pulling the door shut behind her. You look bad, she said. Are you okay? No, I said. I'm not. We sat on the porch. She didn't invite me in. She asked what was going on. I told her I hadn't been sleeping. That I lost my job. That something was wrong with me. She reached for my hand. And then the eye opened again. It screamed inside my head. Not words. Just raw sound. A blast of pressure like standing next to a jet engine. My vision blurred. I clutched my neck, felt the heat radiating from the skin. What is it? Jason? Maggie said, her face going pale. I tried to talk, but all I could get out was, "It doesn't want you to touch me." She backed away. What are you talking about? The eye whispered again. Low. Fast. She's the one who gave me to you. I stopped breathing. I stared at her, really stared. What did you just say? I asked. She looked confused. I didn't say anything. But the voice kept going. She knew. She knew and she left it with you. And then it all started making sense. The timing. She left right before the lump appeared. She'd always been into weird stuff. Spiritual junk. Went to that retreat in New Mexico. Came back different. Quiet. Nervous. And when she left me, she didn't take a damn thing. Not even the necklace she always wore. That stone with the spiral design. The eye twitched. It's time to remember. And I did. The night before she left, she touched the side of my neck. Said, I need to give this to you. You'll be fine. I thought she meant the marriage. The house. Her regrets. But she wasn't talking about any of that. She meant this. She gave me the eye. I stood up. I was shaking. You did this, I said. Maggie's eyes filled with tears. I didn't have a choice. What the hell does that mean? It doesn't stop unless it's past, she whispered. Yes, the eye said. It's your turn now. My hand started shaking so bad I had to sit back down. You gave it to me, I said again, my voice hoarse. Like it's a disease. Maggie didn't answer right away. She kept looking at the ground like it might open up and swallow her. I could tell she was weighing what to say. Whether to lie or tell the truth. Then she finally spoke. It's not a disease, she said. It's something older. Something that clings. It feeds on what we don't want to face. Regret. Anger. Fear. You don't just get it. It chooses who to stay with. It stays if it feels fed. My blood went cold. You mean it feeds on me? I asked. She looked me in the eye. It feeds because of you. That hit me like a slap. All this time, I thought I was the victim. But she made it clear, I was the fuel. I stood. So you just gave it to me and ran off? I thought you were stronger than me, she said. I couldn't take it anymore. I didn't know whether to scream or cry. Then the eye said, you're strong enough. But she was smart. I left. I didn't say goodbye. I walked straight to my truck and drove for hours. No music. No stops. Just me, the road, and that voice in my head whispering lies, or maybe truths. At one point, I found myself in the middle of nowhere, near the base of Cheyenne Mountain. Thick trees. No streetlights. I pulled over, killed the engine, and sat there, gripping the wheel until my knuckles turned white. Why me? I asked the eye. It didn't answer for a long time. Then, soft and slow, because you see what others hide. That made no sense. But I didn't have time to dwell. Because right then, something slammed into the back of my truck. Hard. The whole cab shook. I turned and looked through the rear window. Nothing there. Just trees. Then the eye burned hot on my neck. It followed you. I jumped out of the truck. Grabbed the tire iron from the bed. Turned in a full circle. Still nothing. But I felt it. That presence. Heavy. Close. I could hear leaves moving. A slow crunch of twigs, like something pacing just beyond the edge of the headlights. The eye pulsed once. Then it said, clear as a bell, it doesn't want me anymore. It wants you. Suddenly, I understood something I didn't want to understand. The eye wasn't the danger. It was the gate. And something else was trying to come through. Something bigger. Something worse. I got back in the truck and drove home like the devil was chasing me. And maybe he was. When I got inside, I grabbed every mirror in the house and smashed them. I didn't want to see the eye anymore. I didn't want to see anything. Then the voice changed. It wasn't whispering anymore. It was laughing. And that night, I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Because at 3:13 a.m., I woke up to the sound of breathing. Not mine. Something else. Heavy. Wet. Hungry. I didn't open my eyes. But the eye on my neck did. And it whispered, "You're ready." I stayed frozen in bed, eyes shut, heart pounding so hard it hurt. The air felt thick, like something heavy was pressing down on my chest. I could still hear that breathing. Deep and wet, like something huge was standing inches away from me, sucking in the smell of fear. And the eye kept staring. I could feel it twitching on my neck. "You're ready," it said again. No. I wasn't. I didn't want this. I opened my eyes. There was a shape in my room. Tall. Thin. Wrong. It was blacker than the dark around it, like a hole that light couldn't touch. It didn't have a face, just a stretched head that seemed to bend toward me. Then it moved. It didn't walk. It slid. Like a shadow changing shape. I scrambled out of bed, knocking over the lamp, tripping on my shoes. I ran to the living room, breathing hard, eyes wild. I grabbed the old shotgun my dad left me from the hall closet. I hadn't touched it in years. I turned, heart racing, and the thing was already there. Standing in my hallway. Not moving. Just watching. I lifted the gun. The eye didn't try to stop me. "You can't kill it," it whispered. I fired anyway. The boom of the gun shattered the silence. But the shadow didn't fall. It just stood there, like I had thrown a rock at the ocean. Then it whispered, in my ex-wife's voice, "You were always meant to take my place." That's when the rage hit me. Not fear. Rage. This thing, this parasite, this curse, I hadn't asked for it. Maggie gave it to me like it was nothing. She ran away. Lived her life. Let me rot with it. And now it wanted to move on? Hell no. I grabbed the eye with both hands. It writhed under my fingers like a live thing, but I held tight. It screamed in my head, begged, threatened. I didn't care. "You want out?" I growled. "Fine." I drove back to Maggie's. 3:50 a.m. I parked across the street, left the engine running. Walked up to her door, the eye still wide open, twitching like crazy. She answered in her robe, like she'd been waiting. "You brought it back," she said. "No," I told her. "I brought you back." She didn't have time to react. I grabbed her wrist, hard. Forced her hand to my neck. Forced her to touch it. The moment her skin made contact, the pain hit me like a lightning bolt. My knees buckled. She screamed. But it worked. The eye moved. It slid down my neck like oil. Crawled onto her hand. Her arm. Her shoulder. She fell to the ground, convulsing. I backed away, gasping. And then, for the first time in months, I felt nothing on my neck. It was gone. I should have walked away. But I didn't. I watched her writhe. Watched her cry. Watched her curse me, spit at me, beg me to take it back. You think I wanted this? I shouted. You gave it to me like it was a dirty dish. Like I was just a place to dump it. She looked up, tears in her eyes. The eye on her neck blinked slowly. You don't understand what it will do to me, she whispered. No, I said. But now you will. I left her there. Got in the truck and drove straight into the mountains. Parked by an old trail I used to hike when I was younger. The stars were out. It was quiet. The voice was gone. I finally felt free. But here's the truth, I don't sleep much anymore. I keep checking my neck, afraid it might come back. I stopped talking to people. I don't trust them. Because someone gave that thing to Maggie once. And she gave it to me. Now she's got it again. And I know what's coming next. She'll get tired. She'll get scared. And she'll pass it on to someone else. That's how it works. So if someone you love touches the side of your neck and says, I need to give this to you, don't listen. Run. And never look back.